is what I was thinking, but we were hoping to hear a date possibly today or sometime soon. And this is just really essential that we wrap this up. An ordinance here in Lane County, specifically since the Supreme Court has ruled on 3 separate occasions that they will not hear this case about the National Defense Authorization Act. So it's essential that we take care of this locally. And so I have the ordinances here again today that I will give you, and it fits nicely onto a page. It pretty much prohibits the laws of war to be implemented here in Lane County. My contact information is on the bottom of this. You can contact me. I'm more than willing to go through this information with legal counsel and why it is worded in this way. So we would like to hear when this could be put onto a future agenda item at the nearest possible time. Hopefully today we could work out when it could possibly be on. So I will pass these out to you if I may, and that is what we have to say.
Thank you, Turlo. Bob Stoughton is the final speaker we have signed up.
Thank you, Commissioners, for taking this subject up. I'm Bob Stoughton from Cottage Grove. I don't have a lot to say other than what makes America exceptional is the Constitution. And when you have a bill written that puts detention or the laws of war on citizens, I think we should object. And that's what I'm doing here. And I just ask that an ordinance be put in place. A resolution is fine, proclamation is fine, but an ordinance actually puts teeth in it and lets them know that we're serious. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stoughton. This concludes the public hearing. Public comments. Commissioner's response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, first of all, that Congressman DeFazio, Senator Wyden, and Senator Merkley all voted against the provision of the federal law that we're talking about when we talk about the National Defense Authorization Act. And it's a pretty brave vote because that's the bill each year that funds the U.S. military. And I know they all, I've spoken to them each individually, I know they all support funding the U.S. military, but they voted no because of this one provision. And also President Obama, when he signed the bill, and again, he signed the bill because it funded the military for an entire year, he specifically gave a signing statement to say that this provision of the National Defense Authorization Act would not be enforced. Now, not everybody thinks that either of those actions, Congress passing it or the President signing it, in any way puts this issue to rest, because although we have a president that says he will not enforce this provision, it does allow any future president, or even this president if he changes his mind, to enforce it. And that's why Lane County should join other political jurisdictions in the United States, such as the state of California, which recently passed a law that prohibits the state of California, its state police, its prison system, its National Guard from enforcing provisions of this law. And that's why I think it's important that this board, and for that matter, all the other counties in Oregon and the other cities in Oregon, pass similar legislation, and that our Oregon legislature does the same thing. So I really appreciate everybody coming to talk about this issue today, and I hope that we can move this issue in the future and have an ordinance comparable to what other states and other local jurisdictions are moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorensen. Now that you're done, I'll say please refrain from a response. Commissioner Stewart, did you? A couple of things then that Commissioner Bozovich. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming down again, and I want to thank Colin and Shane for trying to draft an ordinance that we might be able to accept. I did forward the ordinance to County Council. When we get to a later portion of our agenda, when we can ask for future agenda items, I'll see if I can get agreement of a couple other commissioners to put this on our agenda in the future, because it takes 3 commissioners to agree to an agenda item. But I will say in my first reading of this, I'm not sure you've cured the issue that was problematic before, which is whether the ordinance can be unknowingly violated. One of the things about making a law is to make sure that the law is clear and people understand when they're violating the law. And I'm a little concerned that we still haven't quite resolved that issue. So that's the reason why I forwarded it to legal counsel, so hopefully you could start looking at it. But I do support the idea of having an ordinance. It's whether we can get one that is clear and objective and people understand when they are violating the law, so that then we can hold them responsible in the long run. So that's my only concern about this whole thing. I'm very supportive of your efforts. I think the provisions that were put in the NDAA that basically violate the Constitution are just aberrant to the functions of our government. It's surprising that Congress could have done it. But later on we will have, there's a portion of our meeting where we ask for future agenda items, and I will support your request to have this be a future agenda item and it takes 3 commissioners also for us to direct staff to spend more than 15 minutes on an issue. I imagine the legal analysis of this ordinance is going to take more than 15 minutes, so I'll ask for that support also. So thank you for coming. I appreciate the effort, and maybe this will generate something that we can actually support and pass. Just want to make sure it does pass some of those legal hurdles of being clear and objective, and that people knowingly understand if they are violating it.
Thank you, Commissioner Bozovich. Commissioner Lyon. Second is Mr. Farnsworth. I really want to thank you personally for the diligence that you've put into this. You really have stayed with us in a remarkable fashion, and you've done a lot of work, a lot of great in-depth work, and Commissioner Bozovich, I believe, is going to be asking for an agenda item request later on in this meeting. You'll probably see that. You'll probably see head nods in favor of that moving forward to the agenda team. I'll explain a little bit how that works. As the board chair, whoever happens to be the board chair for the year is responsible for upcoming agendas. That's the way we work it here at Lane County. Typically, is the chair and the vice chair get together with the legal staff and with the administrator, and we discuss upcoming items and place upcoming items on the agenda. One means to get the discussion at the agenda team is for an item that has been introduced this year with the County Board of Commissioners. That is, at this public meeting, a commissioner can request an item to be forwarded to the agenda team. And if that commissioner gets a majority of the commission in public responding, yes, we'd like to see that go to the agenda team, then it does go to the agenda team. I would guess, I know that Commissioner Bozovich is going to request it, and I've heard what Commissioner Sorensen had to say, and you've got a head nod from me, so it's probably going to go forward after this meeting. Thank you all for being here today. New agenda team request. Do I hear any? Commissioner Bozovich.
Thank you. I'd like to request that the agenda team place an item on our agenda in the future to review the proposed ordinance that was supplied by the folks at PANDA Oregon, and to allow legal counsel to have the time to review that and report back to us on that ordinance for possible adoption.
And our process there is that we look for shrugs, head nods, or other physical acquiescence. Do we have the board?
I favor that.
So I favor that also.
I shrugged.
We have shrugs, head nods, and a nod. So, Ms. Smoker, I ask you, that is officially an agenda team request. Commissioner Stewart.
And I would just like to state that I appreciate this new proposed ordinance. I did have some heartburn with, I think the last one was 5 or 6 pages long. It seemed like it wasn't overly focused. This one's pretty clear, although I'll be interested to hear what legal counsel has to say. I don't know as if we have the ability to tell a judge that's trying something that they have to give the maximum fine allowed, but it'll be interesting to see what their thoughts are and how what their recommendation is.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Any further requests? Seeing here none, Mr. Mokrajski, just the one new request today. Then we will review assignments.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and the 2 items that I heard first were what you
just gave head nods and shrugs to the NDAA ordinance. So that'll be directed to County Council for review and then scheduling a work session in the coming weeks. And the second one, as we discussed, related to Land Management Division long-range planning, that as we are currently working on some options for the board to address both staffing and review of fees, and I committed that we will come back in September with a work session and recommendations to the board on that. So those are the two that I heard today, and NDAA ordinance and Land Management Division staffing and fee structure.
Any corrections, additions? Seeing here none, we will reconvene on September 9th at 9 a.m. in Harris Hall. Adjourned.